Okay, thanks for joining us.
No worries.
Looking through your filmography,
Yeah.
there's two things that kind of jump out, you know, with the type of work that you're doing. A lot of it is period stuff.
Yeah.
Versailles, even, you know, Macbeth, I know you did.
Yeah, I did Macbeth on Broadway, yeah, National Theatre Live, yeah.
Is that something that appeals to you? Is that something that you would chase down, you know, like, oh, you know, I'm not interested in playing, you know,
Yeah.
I'm like a kind of like the man with a job.
I'd love to have a man with a job, but life. When you leave drama school, you try your best at getting all the parts. And something happens naturally through your start of your career where you start fitting into boxes. Casting directors like you in boxes. So what happens naturally is that you end up taking on a role, and then that role dictates then your next job, funnily enough. So it's not out of choice, really. It's my agent used to say to me that I have a period drama face. So as they say, the old saying is, don't bite the hand that feeds you. I just committed to going up for things like that, and I tend to get them, more so than I'd get like that Noel Clarke Hackney Tower slasher film, that, you know, the modern day horror film. I would tend to sort of always get them, and get them really well, and they're really well paid. And also, funny enough, period dramas are, well, not period dramas, that's kind of like a broad term, like, you know, Merlin's not a period drama, but it's a costume drama, but they tend to be more memorable, bizarrely, rather than that t-shirt and jeans modern job. So I'm very blessed to have done a lot of it. I don't mind it. More so now, I kind of, even on stage, I tend to do a lot of Shakespeare, tend to do a lot of Russian plays, just because it fits, really. But I'd love to do more stuff, more modern stuff. But you know, everyone has bills to pay. So if you have bills to pay, and you know, and acting is the thing that you want to do, you shouldn't shun away from not doing those things. Mordred in Merlin and Philippe in Versailles, and you know, I did Barbarians Rising as well, and all that sort of playing an emperor, and even Genius, National Geographic, I'd played. You know, that was 1910. You know, they're all great roles. It's the roles that appeal to you, rather than what era it's setting or what costume you've got. That all comes later, you know. So yeah, no, but it's I'm not avidly sought it out. It's sort of come to me. And I quite enjoy it. And you know, fundamentally, when you break it down, why you're an actor is to play dress up, really, isn't it? So playing dress up and going from jeans and a t-shirt to another jeans and a t-shirt, you know, jeans and t-shirt, it's not really that big leap. Whereas, you know, wearing the red cloak of Camelot, or you know, wearing the boots and the heels and the wig for Philippe, it's the bigger jump, isn't it?
That's leading right into my next question.
Great, yeah, sure.
Is that as a theatre actor, and obviously with these kind of costume dramas, do you feel that the kind of dressing up helped you find like the performance?
Oh God, absolutely.
You know, you don't need to do
well, I mean, you still have to work your arse off, you know, to find a character and find the truth. I always try and find the truth, whether it's Mordred talking to Arthur or whether it's Philippe talking to Louis. Try and find the truth in everything. But yeah, in terms of like the aesthetics, it's a quick way in. That's basically like to break it down. The question it's a very quick way in. We were very lucky on Versailles that there was no green screen. We got to film in Versailles in the palace. There's a tiny little floorboard in the middle of the Galerie de Glace in the Hall of Mirrors that is untouched. They rejuvenate and they re-put money into the thing. But there's a little diamond in the middle of the Galerie de Glace where Louis himself would have stood. So having George Blagden as Louis XIV in full costume stand on those floorboards that Louis himself would have stood, there's something quite magical about that. That's green screen, you know, don't imagine it. So having the heels and the wig changes the shape of your face. The heels change the way that you sit and stand. The costumes, the frills, the things, even the chainmail of Merlin and getting on the horse is arduous. You know, you get on the horse when you're doing your practice, it's fine because you're in jeans and t-shirt. But you know, all those the things. The swords are heavy. You know, it all adds to the drama. And it's a quick way in for you to get into character. Also, other people are in similar costumes to you, and the world is created for you around you. The walls, you know, in Versailles, the set itself was a replica. They spent 30 million euros on the set. One of the highest paid Anglo-French co-productions ever. The set cost 30 million to make. They did a replica by the millimetre of the diameters of Versailles itself. So we got to film in Versailles, but then when we go into the studio to do the other stuff, apart from looking up and seeing the big studio lights, if you just kept like that, then you saw Versailles. So it all adds to it. It's a really quick way in. And you sort of need, especially in television, you need that running start to sort of get into the world, you know? And it just helps. Because you, as an actor, you have a lot to deal with, you know? It's not me, like, not saying, oh, God, woe is actors, you know, we're all divas. But it's not, but you have a lot to deal with. You want to try and find the truth. You have a lot of lines to learn. You're dealing with a set of crew of 100 people, usually. There's a lot of distractions to get away from your performance. So if anything can help you get into the performance quicker, great. So, yeah.
And leading on from that, when you're playing a character, you know, like a real life character or someone who's been in, you know, films or media before,
yeah,
like obviously Mordred and Excalibur,
yeah,
is that something that would you look to that? Would you go, okay, I've seen what's happened before, or I've read what this character's traits are,
I see what you mean, yeah.
And absorb that, or would you just go, no, this is my take on this character?
There's two examples to answer that question. With the Mordred thing, I didn't really look at anyone else, apart from Asa, who played young Mordred in it. I felt it was my duty as an actor taking over to sort of appease the audience and let them know that it's in good hands. I did a lot of research, watched as many Asa YouTube clips of him playing Mordred as I possibly could. He's only in 2 episodes, so it was quite hard to sort of... He doesn't really speak in it either, so try and grab some stuff, visual stuff. And I did that in episode 1 and 2 of season 5. I tried to give the audience a hint of that I was still the same person. Obviously not the same actor, but still the same person. And then took it into my own stead. Once they were happy that I was doing that it was similar, that there was a similarity, then I just continued it in my own way. The other flip to that, so that's basically a sort of a no to your question, which is like, don't do as much research. In terms of that, I played Hamlet on radio for Big Finish. I listened and watched every Hamlet production that I possibly could. Ken Branagh's film, David Tennant's film, Richard Burton's audio drama, Richard Burton on the Old Vic, Gielgud, Olivier. God, Olivier's like, oh, Jesus, you know, like tough stuff to get through. But I devoured it because they've all done it. And they've all done a different version. And you just absorb it and then you do your own. So it depends on the job, really. It depends on the role, really, that how much you take. With Philippe for Versailles, I'm playing a real life person. Mordred's less so, you know, he's fictional in terms of the books, but Philippe is a real life person, he existed. My first very day in filming Versailles, there's an amazing portrait in Versailles that has Louis, Anne of Austria, Philippe, Marie-Thérèse. It's like a portrait of the family tree. And you're standing there looking at this portrait going, oh God, like the responsibility that falls on your shoulders because that person existed. He has no idea that I'm about to portray him on camera for 30 hours and 3 seasons, you know. So there's a lot of responsibility with that. But I didn't read one book. Trusted the script, trusted the showrunners, trusted that my acting could do it justice. The audience would pretty quickly tell me that I was terribly bad and, you know, really wrong. But it's a marriage between trust in your abilities and trust in the script, faith, the will of someone looking down you, giving you guidance in that terms of thing, and then hints of stuff of, you know, everything that you can absorb. But yeah, it depends on the role, really.
What do you kind of prefer, though, TV, film, or theatre work? 'Cause at least with theatre, you're getting an instant reaction.
It's basically in a nutshell. You've just summed it up. TV pays well, fundamentally. You know, everyone's got bills to pay.
There's obviously a delay with obviously the critics and that later on with the TV.
That massive delay infuriates me. I'm quite an impatient person, really, and when you work it out in your head, I've been in the business now for 14 years, but like you work it out in your brain. Why am I doing this? It's mostly because actors are insecure. and they get a sense of hiding themselves behind a guise, a mask of a character, and getting gratification for being a different person. We're really good in that. Great. I have validation as an existence. You know that weird thing? You know, this is like therapy for me. But like that thing of like, so that's what it is. So theatre for me is that you go through your warm-up, you're part of an ensemble or a company of people that are all striving for the same thing, and you all get the same thing at the same time. With Versailles, you do scenes with certain types of people. You never see half the rest of your cast because they're doing other scenes on different storylines in the same show. And then you film it and you move on to something else. And you know you've done this thing, but no one else has seen it. And then suddenly 6 months later it appears. And for me, 6 months is a long time, and you change as a person, you change as an actor. Suddenly you're watching yourself back going, good God, I would never have done that now. But that's only 6 months. And then a film, it's a year and a half wait. Imagine doing a press tour for something you shot a year and a half ago. And you know what I mean? So I find that really frustrating. So theatre is the answer for me. It's a go-to. It's an immediate gratification. It's an immediate applause. Really, well done. You did well. You're great. Thank you very much. Move on to the next one. You know.
Is it difficult to switch between the two? Because your last thing in theatre in York,
Romeo and Juliet. Yeah.
Went out successfully.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
Is it difficult to switch from that to obviously like a TV camera in your face, where, like you say, you get delayed reaction?
I wouldn't say no, it's difficult. I think you have to prepare yourself in a different mindset of what are you getting from it. Romeo was the hardest part I've ever played, but really enjoyable. And the lines were, lines and lines of learning and all that sort of process is different. 10 weeks rehearsal as a company, all of you are building to something hopefully very good, and it was very good. With the camera thing, it's quite insular. Everyone deals with TV acting or film acting or screen acting in different ways, Some people don't know their lines and they're just sort of ad-libbing and in the cuffs, and people prepare to death. So you're dealing constantly with different methods of approach. The director you might not like. He might be awful. He might be a technical director. He might have every shot's beautiful. But can he give an actor a note? No, he can't. So then you're useless to me. Vice versa, the other way around. Someone who's an amazing actor's director on screen, and then all his shots are goddamn ugly. So it's really tough. But like with theatre, you're all striving for something, and you can all see the bigger picture day by day in a rehearsal room. So it's about process and about working out. So for me, there is a difference, but it's about how you prepare for that. So if I got a TV job tomorrow, my preparation for going into that tomorrow would be so far different from my preparation of starting my first day of rehearsals. So it's about getting your brain switched into a different way and why you're doing it and what are you getting from it, It's the long game in rehearsal, but the reward is better, and it's a short game. Played Maurice Solivine in Genius. I was between season 2 and season 3 of Versailles, so I'm a lead in a TV show, and I'm coming to sort of do a guest on an episode. They couldn't give a fuck about me, and it was great. That responsibility was not there. I turned up, got into costume, sat in the trailer. No one came. I was like, this is great. This is fun. Walked on set, got greeted, did my 2 scenes. Great, see you tomorrow. Great. Got in the car. Wow, this is great. Compared to Versailles, where you're in at 5 a.m. and your responsibility is greater, where you are asked questions, you are asked if you're all right, you are constantly kept on top of, because you're the lead, so they want to make sure that you're happy, But so there's a massive even in that process is different. It depends on the role, I guess.
Do you think that the pressures of being an actor, where obviously you've been directed to be in different places, you've been told what to do, you've got your PAs who keep saying, hey, you're okay, do you want a coffee?
Yeah.
Do you think all these pressures that get put on an actor, especially at a young age, cause the issues that happen later on?
Absolutely. 100%. 1,000%. I suffered with depression all of last year, to the point where I'm now much better. I've even got a tattoo that says done, because I'm done with it. So just something quite thing, but no one teaches you how to deal with when you aren't working. In drama school, they teach you when you are working, what you should do. No one teaches you how you deal with the slumps of being out of work. Versailles was 4 years of my life, 30 hours of drama. It was the integral part of the show, along with George. We were the company leaders. You have your wrap party in France, say goodbye to the crew, get on the Eurostar the next morning, and that's your life over. That's that part of that chapter of your life over. And you're back to mundanity, not mundanity, because that's quite a harsh word, but you're back to normality.
Yeah. you get taken out of the fantasy world and you're back to normal.
Yeah, and so I think there's something really, I think there's an amazing charity that are run by actors about dealing with people that have to. It's so ebbing and flowing. It's astronomical. The spikes and the dips are huge. And people strive on that. Some people, that's a high adrenaline thing for actors. But I find it fascinating. But also, I think that's why people do struggle in later life, especially kid actors. People wonder why kid actors go off the chains. Yeah, oh my God! You've been given everything, and suddenly you don't look like that cute little kid that did that role when you were 12, and now you're 16, and you're a facial hair, you're 18, and your balls have dropped suddenly. All this sort of thing. How are they not being looked after better? Because they should be. And that is the beauty and the huge curse of this industry that affects everyone, not even just people on camera, but cameramen, DOPs who go through doing 6 months in the job and then suddenly are really struggling to find work. It's really hard, and that's like I said, the beauty and the curse of the whole thing.
The one thing I always remember, because we interviewed Ryan Reynolds a few years ago.
Yeah, sure.
And the one thing that's always stuck in my head is what he said. He said that the biggest thing that he struggles with, he said, was, I can't fart in public without someone writing a story about it and saying that I just,
That's such a great
like
example.
shit on his tan by farting on it and all that. He says, you can't do anything in public because it will always be twisted against
Well, I
you.
mean, that's Ryan. So Ryan's obviously in an astronomical level compared to myself or any people that you've seen today. Like huge sort of difference, but the scrutiny on that level is really dark. Actually, we have
the mindset behind it that you can't do anything in public.
Yeah,
and it's like, because
and you wonder why you get these stories coming out with people having food with their wife in a restaurant. People come over and ask them for a selfie, and they're like, can I just have my meal? And then they get pissy that they weren't good to the fans. And sometimes there's that really difficult fine line that performers find when having to. So that's what's great about stuff like this, is that there is a time and a place where people can come and meet you, and you are performing. I am performing here. I'm showing them a truthful version, but a very put-on version of myself. It's like all lights, all bells, all whistles, complete high energy. So when I go and have lunch, it's like, don't talk to anyone, switch off, because it's hard to maintain that. But you want the fans to see the best possible side of you. And what's great about events like MCM or any Comic-Con or any convention is that it allows them to get what they want from you, which is a selfie, a chat to you about their favourite scene, perhaps about their favourite episode, look at my costume, and all this sort of thing. And it facilitates it into one place, which is great. It's the times when you're out having in the public eye where you don't want to be Ryan Reynolds, the public star, or you're Alex Farr, or whatever that is. It sort of it gives that space and time to. It's rules, isn't it? It's boundaries. That's what we're talking about.
It's a weird line because
I'm going to still Alex in a second. Sorry, you've got time for one more question.
Okay.
It's a weird one because obviously you're good at your job, so people believe the character you're playing.
Yeah.
But on the other side of it, because the public believe you as the character you're playing, they expect you to be that character in real life.
Yeah.
It's kind of like,
do you know what this is? And then because we talked, this was all quite serious stuff. But like, so the funny stuff about like me being Mordred, say, is that I ruined their favourite TV show basically. On Christmas Eve of all times, Christmas Eve, last ever episode of Merlin goes out. Yeah, I killed King Arthur. Right? Like, 2012 comes along and it's Christmas Eve, and I know the episode's coming out on Christmas Eve. What do? I get out of Dodge. I go to Stockholm. I'm like, I'll go to Sweden where Merlin's not shown for a little bit, and I will get out of Dodge because I know that if I'm on the tube, God help me, right? But like, even now, it's the 10th year anniversary was like 3 days ago, but it's been 6 years since it's been out. 2012 was when it last aired. 6 years, right? People still come up, not talking to you. But they're here because they're queuing. So they wanted to. Why is that? I'm like, you killed King Arthur. So there's that weird thing, So I used to be like, I'm Alex, that's Mordred. But now I'm like, yeah, I killed King Arthur. Get over it. It's a fact. Straight to the point. I'm like, yeah, and what? What are you going to do about it? It's a truth bomb. Come on, 2012, Christmas Eve, get over it. But Merlin as well is the part of their childhood. So sometimes you have to remember there's kids coming up to me that are kids now, they're teenage, they're late early teens, 21, and they're saying, Merlin was my childhood. You go, oh God, of course it was. It's a family drama. I'm like sort of relishing in the fact that I murdered everyone. Thank you guys, it's been fun.